Hey, what's up you guys, the Curious Owl here, and today I have the announcement video for the next round of the Battle of the Bookish training camp. So if you do not know what the Battle of the Bookish training camp is, it is basically a midway point between our two large month-long Battle of the Bookish rounds that we do in January and in June of every year. These take place in the months of April and October, which is about a 3-month-ish gap between the big round. This is basically an opportunity for our teams that are going to be participating in the large rounds to earn points that are going to help them and give them an advantage in the large round, which the next one is going to be in June. The theme for this training camp is also then in theme with what is going to be for the next large round in June. So the training camp for this one is based around magical creatures, and we have a very, very special training camp planned because it is unlike anything we have ever done before, and I think you guys are really going to like it if you have joined in on the training camps previously. So how it works is that this is, again, like I said, a week-long readathon. This round is going to be from April 8th to April 13th, and winners that will earn the advantage points announced on the 14th. So a couple things basically going into this particular round. Like I said, it is unlike anything we've done before, namely because this time with the training camp, the way you earn points is by reading books that involve certain types of themes that will earn you points on top of your page points, and they can be used multiple times over the course of the week. We're basically considering it a creature catch kind of game, kind of like adding in Pokemon almost, with the idea of obtaining magical creatures like, you know, in any kind of D&D or something to that effect. Essentially what you are doing is you are going to pick a team, and with your team you are going to try to read as much as you can over the course of the week to obtain points, and the team that has the highest average points based on how many people are in their team and how many books they read is going to earn the advantage in the large round. This is how we do it every single time. This is nothing new for those of us that have been a part of it for a long time, so there should not really be any problems with that. You do not have to have been a part of any of the other readathons to participate. If this is the first time you're going to participate in Battle of the Bookish, you are more than okay to. This is actually a great time to get involved because essentially you can pick the team that you will want to be a part of in the large round, but you also have the ability to jump teams if you decide to between the training camp and the large round. It is completely up to you, especially if you are new and want to see kind of what your team can do. Now, each team is going to earn points basically, like I said, by completing the prompts as well as the amount of pages that your book is worth. So it's going to be a certain amount based on the page length of your book, which all of the points for page points are listed here. Essentially anything that is DNF'd has to be, though, within the first 25% of the book before we are able to give you the 5 DNF points for it that will go towards your team. Otherwise, if you complete the book, you have to list the page amount so that we know how many points to give you for the page count. And also, if you completed a prompt, what prompt you used so that we know how many points total you will have gotten for that book. There's going to be information about that too in our Discord, so definitely go check out our Discord. That's where everything is going to be held in terms of also then putting your points in. That is where we do everything, so definitely make sure if you're going to join that immediately. Now, each team is also going to get a special ability, which is going to give them the ability to have certain things happen, whether it's they're able to DNF a book for full points, or they're able to use 2 prompts for 1 book, because typically with the week-long readathons, we ask that you use 1 prompt per book, but for this round, you're able to use them multiple times, whereas in the past, what we've done is only use them once. So this one's a little bit different than how we've done previous training camps, and it's going to, I think, be a lot more fun for those of us that like to bank up on points. However, with the abilities, these are only able to be used once. So when you've used it, that's it. You cannot use it again. So you have to be very, very careful when you use it so that you don't shoot yourself in the foot later when you have an opportunity to use it. Now, like I said, there is no doubling up of prompts for the books, but you will be able to use the prompts as many times as you'd like. So 1 prompt is going to be for 1 book only, but that same prompt you can use 5, 6, 7 times if you choose to. So without further ado, let's get into the prompts and everything else that you'll need to know about the training camp. So the prompts are basically based around different magical creatures, and I did initially do this where it was smallest creature to largest. We realized as a team, the Battle Masters and I, that one particular creature is really most popular right now, and so we had to make it a little bit more challenging for you guys in order to catch these creatures. So we decided that the first prompt is going to be dragons, which are going to be worth 50 points each. Now the prompt for this is that you have to read a book that has some kind of fire aspect about it, whether it's the color, that there's fire in the title, there's fire on the cover. There has to be some kind of fire aspect to it. If your book is all red, if it's all orange, if it's all yellow, or it has those colors in the cover, that will count for this prompt. Your book can also have the colored names in the title, like the red dress, the orange thing, something like that. Like if it's in there, it'll count. Then we have the gnomes, which are worth 100 points each, and this is to read a graphic novel or manga or a comic book. Then we have kitsune, are a Japanese mythical creature, which basically are notorious for being very sneaky, very suspicious. They take the form of a fox in Japanese culture. And so for this, you are to read a book with either an unreliable narrator or at least an unreliable character of some kind. Then for fae, we have a fantasy book in general, because fae are very popular in a lot of fantasy works, but they're kind of middle of the road. They're sometimes used, sometimes not. So for this, it's going to be worth 200 points. Then we have the harpies, which are really kind of not looked at very much in terms of the use of magical creatures, but for this is to have either a book that has flying creatures in it or flight as a mode of travel, and this will be worth 250 points each. Then we have a phoenix, which is, again, not really as much used in terms of the actual use of mythical creatures in fantasy work or anything like that, but for this, you have to either read a book that is part of a dying series, whether that is it's not exciting for you, or it's an underrated series to you, or if the book is the last book in the series itself. So if you're reading the last book of a series, this will definitely work for this. Otherwise, something that's underrated or something that you're just really not excited to get into but need to read for whatever reason. These kinds of books are going to be worth 300 points each. And finally, the most likely one that is not seen very often, and I don't feel like a lot of people do read these very often, are pixies. Pixies are not really looked at a lot. They're kind of considered to be part of the fae groups in a lot of ways, so they don't get their own kind of look at in terms of being used in fantasy work. And for this, we're deciding to go with novellas. So this is not something where it's graphic novel, comic, or manga. Those are separate. Novellas are basically books that are less than 200 pages, and it's not very often that we see these come out. There definitely are some more popular authors that are coming out with novellas, and obviously a lot of romances are kind of in that realm because they're less than like 300 pages usually, but basically anything under 200 pages will count for this, and these are going to be worth the most amount of points, 350 points. So this is a really good one to bank yourself up on if you are a novella or romance reader, that especially your romances are less than 200 pages. Okay, finally, let's get into the team abilities and the team names. The teams, we decided to basically do something that was involving the hunting down and capturing of the different mythical creatures that we are getting into, or magical creatures. So the first team are the trackers. These are the people that are able to find the footprints, find the different things that lead them down the paths of where these creatures could possibly be. They are very much attention to detail kinds of people. They're able to spot things unlike anybody else. So for this, the team ability is that you are able to pick up on any creature's trail with ease. So this, you can use a book for a prompt that it normally doesn't fit. So if there is a book that doesn't quite fit one of the prompts, but you want to be able to use it just because, that will work. It doesn't matter if it lines up kind of close to it or is far off the mark. Anything like that will work as long as it doesn't necessarily fit the prompt that you were going for. And there is only one book that you are able to use for this. Again, with the rest of the team abilities, you are only allowed to use one book with your ability. So we have our flyers who are able to traverse the air and get kind of more of an aerial view of what is going on, maybe see things, especially the bigger creatures, from higher up. They're able to track them a little bit more clearly in terms of looking at the most bigger picture of things. So for this, you're able to get to high ground whenever you're needed to, and for this, it's going to be a book that is worth double the amount of points that it normally counts for. So one book will actually be able to be worth double the amount of points. So if you get a 350 point book that is a novella, and you get the page points with that, the total amount of points you would get for that is going to then be doubled for one book only. Then we have our campers, who are basically the people who set down, settle camp, and they kind of wait and see to see what comes around. And they're not necessarily the lazy group, they're more so the patient group. They are the ones that are willing to wait it out for the creatures to come to them, as opposed to seeking them out and causing themselves to be in danger. So for this, you're able to stay still for hours on end to wait for the perfect catch. And for this, you're able to DNF a book for the full amount of points that it would normally be worth for one book only. So if your book was going to be worth initially 250 points plus the page points, if you decide to DNF it after the first 25% of the book that you've read, you will be able to get full points for it that it would normally get if you had finished it, but again, for only the one book. Finally, we have the fighters. These are the people that go right into the fray, they find the creatures, they take them down, and they're the ones that are kind of on the front lines of everything. So for this, you have battle the creatures into submission before capture, and this is where you can have a book that counts for 2 prompts. So it can count for 2 creatures that you catch, basically kill 2 birds with 1 stone, if you will, but again, that is only for 1 book. Now, we will be having some other things going on. We will be having reading sprints in our Discord that are going to be led through the Discord. You will get notified of that if you decide to get notified of it. We also will have some kinds of games going on during the sprints. So if you would like to participate and earn some extra points for your team, make sure to go be following our Discord, because that is where everything is going to be. And like I said, this is only a week-long readathon, so we're not expecting everyone to read like 40 books in a week, but try your absolute best. Bank as many points as you can, be strategic. That's really the biggest thing with the training camp, is learning the strategies that you will need to use when it comes to the larger rounds. So if you guys though have any questions, please feel free to ask us in our Discord or leave a comment here with any questions that you may have that I am more than happy to answer. I would love to see more people come and join us and enjoy the training camps and then come back for the larger rounds in January and June. And like I said, the winner of this round, the people that get the highest average team points, are going to earn so many points toward their team for the large round of the readathon. So you definitely want to try to get yourself to read as much as you can to get those points and earn that little boost in our large rounds for Battle of the Bookish. But without further ado, that is everything that you guys need to know. I'm so excited for this. I cannot wait to see how this goes, since it is so very different than how we've done training camps and Battle of the Bookish in general than ever before. So I am just so thrilled. I hope you guys like it. But thank you guys so much for joining me in this video. If you guys did enjoy it, please do give it a big thumbs up. And if you haven't already and you'd like to be and would like to see more content like this, go ahead and hit that button down below and subscribe to become an owlet in our flock. And I will see all of you guys in my next video. Bye guys!